What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 1038 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. You just interrupted our passionate discussion about milkshakes.
I don't know what an Instagram milkshake is. Never heard of it.
It's basically designed to be photographed and not eaten.
Well, that feels like most of the stuff at the niche shops these days, right? Like
It's called Instagram food.
I was sending you the videos yesterday of the guy who does the crazy videos eating, and he's this jack dude. And I'm like, if I was in a restaurant with that, it would be kind of comical, but it'd be one of those things where, like, when it was over, I'd be like, I'm assuming they let these people know ahead of time, obviously, because there's like a camera operator and everything.
Right.
But imagine you didn't, and you're just like, what the hell just happened? It'd be crazy.
Yeah, but is the shtick that he gets away with eating fast food because he's a bodybuilder?
I don't think so. I think he does these like really big like movements, and he like runs up to the camera.
Really
it's like it looks like it requires a steady cam to do.
Yeah, that's kind of rude to the people around you.
Well, I'm assuming that the people there are told ahead of time, like, look, if you want to leave, you can leave, or like otherwise otherwise you have to blur their face out or something.
Clear it out. We have a couple of $20 super chats to get to. Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Wednesday, Brett and Mary. I decided to watch Mercy, the movie about an AI judicial system. It's actually decent. The trailer did not do it justice. It ended up being more of a suspense thriller with a sci-fi backdrop."
Yeah, I admit that I wrote that one off to begin with. I didn't even bother going to see it because I was like, this is the most January looking movie that I've ever seen in my entire life. But it's good to hear.
Was it?
It's Chris Pratt and Rebecca Ferguson, I believe.
Yeah.
But the thing is like it's on Prime, and it was on Prime in like 5 days. It felt like it was like instantly on Prime. But with your recommendation, maybe I'll make Olivia watch it tonight, and she'll be like, "Why do we have to watch this movie?" I'm like, "Look, come on."
I guess they just effed up the marketing for it. It looked extremely generic and boring.
There is a type of movie, and suspense falls kind of directly into this realm that's really hard to market. Like there are certain types of films that are very, very hard to market.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want to watch movies about AI.
Exactly.
Like it's too close to reality to really count as sci-fi anymore.
Well, that's the critique that I've made about the stuff that I liked about AI in the past, whether it's Terminator or Person of Interest. Obviously, you can reset the counter if anybody's tracking it today. But I say that like when the writing had some distance from the material, it worked better. Meaning like it still felt like something fun that you could explore because it was still technically in the theoretical. Mm-hmm. Whereas now, you know, they're losing their jobs, like their companies like Disney are laying people off because of AI. So it's not fun to write anymore. Now you have to write it with a very pointed, you know, agenda to make.
Yeah, that kind of sucks the fun out of it. We have another 20 from Corey Anderson. "The backlash Mary has received for her pragmatic take has changed my mind. I support Mary's point. Geeks and gamers even used a manipulated image of Mary for their thumbnail. I am disgusted by this BS. Hell, even Tim did a video."
I did not see that.
I was not aware that either Geeks and Gamers or Tim covered it themselves until I saw this super chat. But yeah, I did throw a bit of a discourse bomb. It happens every once in a while. It's not my first time and certainly not my last. But I just figured, since it's gotten to this point, I could go to great lengths to elaborate and make people understand what I truly think about this, but it wasn't that important to me in the first place. And I also understand the futility of trying to be understood and, you know, interpreted correctly on X especially. It's just kind of pointless when people have decided what you think for you.
Did any of the backlash, because me and you disagreed on this for the most part, but did any of the backlash like lead you to think differently about, like, did you re-examine it from a different angle?
I mean, a lot of the backlash honestly reads like they're responding to something I didn't say. So I haven't even really been reading all of it that much. I haven't been paying that much attention to it, and I feel like people are kind of blowing it out of proportion. Like, I still agree with the take that we ended with on our segment, which was like, it's not about pedophilia and it's not about fatherhood. It's ultimately like, it is just a video game, man. And I also think it's pretty ridiculous to claim that like this is going to contribute a serious like statistical baby boom generation. Like, that's just not going to affect birth rates whatsoever, because it's a video game.
I do think it's hard for some of the people, because like when me and you talked about it, right? Like I know you, we've known each other for a long time, so we examined it from a different lens than people who might not know you personally, and they're only gonna read what was written on the, I guess not a page, it's a tweet, and they took it very differently, and that's what it is. And
yeah, we've kind of just gotten to the discourse level where people have like spiraled and just started talking about my outfits and like saying that I slept with people, and it's just like not even about the video game discussion anymore. So I'm just not participating in it at this point. We have another 20 from Cesario JPN. SPLC getting the Savant back into hiatus after allegations handed down by DOJ of them allegedly paying for fake hate, calling it? Wait, is this a real story or is this a prediction of what's going to happen?
But that's not like what happened. Like, I thought it was like that they funded like the Unite the Right rally or something like that.
Wait, what?
Like the SPLC,
the
like no, the SPLC, yeah, like that. It was funding the Unite the Right rally. I'm sure I'll learn more about it tonight, but I was going through that yesterday, and that was kind of like the.
Wait, that just came out?
Is yesterday.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, not hard to believe, but wow. I can't imagine how it was kept under wraps for, close to a decade.
All right. Well, we got through all the 20s. And I'm so sorry. I think I always say Cesaro JPN. I don't even see the I
there.
There
is an I there, but I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, so we're just going to try our best.
All right, guys, before we get started, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you've not subscribed here yet already, please and thank you. Share the episode out with your friends, your family, loved one, people in your life that you both love and hate. Get into the comments section and engage in some discourse about whatever the topics are today, which are as follows. We are going to talk about Devil Wears Prada. So yesterday, I was sending you stuff about Devil Wears Prada and Michael. We ended up covering Michael yesterday because the critics are hating on it. But Devil Wears Prada comes out later. It comes out, I think, the first week in May. And
I'm seeing it on like this Thursday, actually. So
okay, I mean, I thought it said first. Maybe that's the weekend is the first week in May. But
oh, okay, yeah.
So it should be interesting given the fact that, it's been how long since the first movie came out, and there's already virtue signaling going on at the premiere of it, which I thought was interesting. Even I tweeted about it. Not that I'm, Dane as I am to say anything about the fashion industry, but I was like, virtue signaling about a movie that's connected to one of the most exploitative industries in the world was kind of fascinating to me. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to get into the topic of sponsored weddings, which I wish I would have known about back when I got married, because, it was saved a lot of people a lot of money.
Rumble Wallet, are you listening? Can you please sponsor Brett's wedding? But it already happened.
So we're going to talk about sponsored weddings. It's something that the influencers are doing these days. And also, there was a young woman who was scamming a bunch of men. Her name was Emily Hart, and she is not a real woman. In fact, she's a man from India. And she was scamming some Republicans because she was putting out... He put her in a American flag bikini, and the money comes rolling in.
It's like... At the same time as these dudes being idiots for falling for this scam, I hate the scammer more.
Yeah. Because
he's so anti-America. Like, he hates America, and we'll get into the backstory, but the reason he's scamming is so that he can afford to move here. Like, dude, don't come here. I genuinely feel like they should find out who this guy is and, like, make sure that he never steps on U.S. soil. Like, I have a vendetta against this man.
Tom Homan's still in charge over there, or did he step down? We're gonna have to make sure that they double check over there. We got one more 20 here from I believe it's from Shane Wilder.
Let me find that. I see it now. Don't worry, I'm sure there's still someone in their parents' basement shouting into the void, "Damn you, Mary Morgan! Rich Men North of Richmond is the best song ever."
Yeah, but everybody
Hey,
came
Ma,
around.
I need more pizza rolls.
Everybody came. Well, okay, I'm actually I'm gonna nuance bro it.
Let's nuance bro.
The claim of people in their basement no longer works. Like that just because everybody has a phone and the internet now. It no longer works to be like you're a chud in the basement somewhere. They could be a chud in their car somewhere. That's perfectly fine.
Well, it's not so much the incel in the basement or whatever trope. It is worth mentioning though that a lot of the discourse, especially on X, just isn't human beings. So I mean, it's impossible to know how much of that is true, but can't be discounted.
To the point about rich men north of Richmond, people came around to your point on that.
Dude, seriously, I was vindicated in the long run for counter signaling Oliver Anthony. I stand by that take forever.
There you go. All right, we're ready to go then. Are you ready to go?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go for it. Let's talk about Alex Cooper.
Yeah, so we already covered the brewing scandal between Alex Cooper of Call Her Daddy fame and Alex Earl, an influencer who was once assigned to her podcast network, Unwell. And it appears there is still no update on the fight between these two, and Alex Earl refuses to elaborate on how she was allegedly mistreated by Alex Cooper behind the scenes, leading to her departure from the network, even though she was threatening to and saying, "At any minute now, guys, I'm gonna post my side of the story." It's been crickets from her.
Keep them waiting.
We're still waiting to find out what really went down between them. But things are nonetheless unwell in the world of Alex Cooper's Unwell network. TMZ had a lot of fun with this one. They are alleging, anonymous employees that is, alleging that...
Hold on.
Wait, what? What's going on?
Thank you, guys.
I was like, did you just have a heart attack?
I did. I was like,
I don't know how that would actually go.
When I have to reset the crisis meter, I turn the volume down because when you reset the crisis meter, it sets one off, and it's like it's bad enough to make the people working upstairs have to deal with it during the show. They really should not be forced to deal with it when the show isn't going on. Plus, there was one time, because it's basically a speaker that's right in front of me, where I reset it, didn't check the volume, and was like literally picking something up off the ground right in front of the speaker. And it basically it was like that scene in, was it like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, where like they turn the amp up to full volume and send Shredder through the wall. Like that's what happened to me one time. So I apologize.
That is actually how you're going to have a heart attack one day.
Anyway, let's roll it back and let's start again.
Anonymous employees are now alleging that Alex Cooper's husband, Matt Kaplan, is emotionally terrorizing them. Over 100 staff work for Unwell Network, and according to a new report in Bloomberg, these employees are living their lives in fear under the draconian rule of her husband, who really is handling the day-to-day operations, while Alex Cooper is more concerned with being the star that fuels the entire operation. And they still have yet to sign anyone new that can keep this thing going without Call Her Daddy as the flagship show. So it appears that Alex Cooper is being found out for the girl boss she truly is. She's not actually the internet's big sister or your best friend.
Or girl's girl, as you were saying.
Not a girl's girl either. She's a ruthless businesswoman, and this report kind of sheds some light on her true self.
When we were talking about this before, I don't remember if I brought him up, but I was trying to think of, it was like one of those days, where you can't remember, like you're expecting your brain to be on and you're going to think of the examples, but it's Ryan Reynolds, right? Ryan Reynolds is kind of portrayed as like a, it's like a Reddit millennial humor, not effeminate, but like soft-spoken, in his tone, but really we know what he is. He's an absolutely ruthless businessman who became a billionaire. I think somebody can double check me if I'm wrong. He is a very, very wealthy man. Though that doesn't mean anything anymore. I just saw that like Miles Teller sold like some alcohol company for like $350 million. And I'm like, okay, like I don't even, like money is fake now at this point, it feels like sometimes. But the point is like there is a specific type of businessman who has to rework their image as more than just business because they're the front-facing part of it. So Alex Cooper is the front-facing part of it, and she may be ruthless, but her husband, who is the behind-the-scenes guy, would likely be the one who is even more, you know, cracking the whip, as they say.
Yeah, he's doing her dirty work. And even more rare and more terrifying than the Ryan Reynolds of the world are the female counterpart, which is like the Kathleen Kennedys out there, the Alex Coopers, or maybe even the Elizabeth Holmes. So this report is titled Inside Alex Cooper's Unwell. Tears, screaming, and employees looking for the exit.
It feels like a story from Devil Wears Prada. Or like Anna Wintour or something like that.
I want to see the movie about Unwell Network.
No, you see, this is the thing, you don't, because you think it's going to be like Devil Wears Prada, but it's going to end up being like the one about Uber or the one about Facebook. Or not Facebook, obviously. The Facebook one did really, really well. They're making a sequel to The Social Network, but it'll end up being a Hulu original and it won't be any fun.
Yeah, probably not going to work out that way. But they say the simmering feud with Alex Earl isn't the only source of drama in Alex Cooper's growing podcast empire. Lately, Cooper has been grappling with multiple challenges inside her business, including employee turnover, a sputtering slate of shows, and discord between staff members and her husband, Matt Kaplan. He's also the co-chief executive officer, so they're co-CEOs together. According to people familiar with the company's operations, such issues are becoming more common across the creator economy as myriad hit performers like Mr. Beast or Ashley Flowers of Crime Junkie or trick shot artists at Dude Perfect have begun to build diversified companies capitalizing on their internet fame while also running demanding podcasts or YouTube channels.
What was maybe somebody knows the answer to this because I'm not like a lore expert. Like was Dave Portnoy always business successful, or did it start as something much smaller and grow into an empire that is Barstool? Like I don't know the history, but that's like all of those things.
Yeah.
Like the Dude Perfect, it all feels like their own offshoots of like, look, there's a whole segment of the population that doesn't care about politics and doesn't want to talk about all that stuff, and there is a market to be filled there. So I don't know what Dave Portnoy's history is, but it feels like theirs would be something similar to that. Somebody who is very, very charismatic ends up being also very gifted at business.
The only thing I know about the history of Barstool is that it definitely has been around for longer than people think, and most people don't remember this, but Jenna Marbles, before she was really at the peak of her fame, she did work for Barstool. She was the original Barstool girl before there was such an archetype known to the public. In 2023, Alex Cooper and Matt Kaplan, he, by the way, is a major film and TV producer, co-founded Trending, which is the umbrella company that houses both the Unwell Network and Ace Entertainment, which was already Matt Kaplan's production company. And the idea was to take Alex Cooper's audience of Gen Z women and speak directly to them, building content around their interests.
Matt Kaplan is one of the executive producers on the Hannah Montana 20th anniversary edition. So that makes perfect sense given the fact that Alex Cooper randomly showed up there.
Yes, they've got deals with Disney and major corporations. Cooper and Kaplan began hiring dozens of employees to staff their business as they expanded into live events, TV series, and creative agency and physical products. Many of the new recruits were young adults who knew Cooper's show and were eager to be a part of her company's festive aura while working alongside a woman they admired. So we're talking about like probably a lot of recent-ish college grads who are Zoomettes that think Alex Cooper is the bomb, and they're gonna just party every day in the office with their girl boss friends. And then reality smacked them in the face, and it turns out their boss wasn't Alex Cooper, who they idolized. Their boss was Matt Kaplan, this relatively anonymous husband of hers, who is quite brutal behind the scenes. In interviews with news outlets and podcasts, Alex Cooper described herself and her husband as driven entrepreneurs who expected employees to work hard, play hard. At one point, she told Marie Claire that as CEO, her door is always open to employees and that she and Kaplan foster a very positive and safe environment for their young staff. Safe is an interesting word to add in there unprompted without any allegations to the contrary. But
well, I mean, that's kind of like it's just corpo speak.
Yeah,
like that's like the own reading into it that you might do if you've seen this industry at its worst. But it's just a term that they use, especially if it's mostly women, anyways.
Right, definitely. Part of the fact that all of this came to the surface is that they mostly hired women. They didn't mention that in the report, of course, but you are probably going to receive way more complaints about a toxic work environment from Gen Z women. Like, that is the peak demo for people who feel unsafe or aggressed in the workplace.
So did these women think
when they're expected to work?
Did these women think that what was going to happen was like that? Remember the viral video of like the women in the circle? Like
itty bitty titties in a bob.
Yeah. And then,
titties in a bob. That's what they thought they were walking into.
And then they came in there and one of them tried to do that. And like Matt Kaplan took their phone and threw it on the ground. Literally. Actually, it reminds me more of like, have you ever seen the videos of the dude who he plays, I forget his name. Somebody will know who I'm talking about. He plays like a movie producer and he runs into the room and he starts yelling at everybody about this new movie that he's pitching. He's like, we're doing Harry Potter, except for it's not a movie. It's a TV show. And Snape is black. And have you ever seen that guy? Like, he just screams at the employees, and if somebody says something wrong, he just says, "You're fired," and they have to get up and leave, and he humiliates them. That's basically what this is Kaplan walks in and is like, no semicircle TikTok videos. Get to work.
Right. So according to employees who have asked not to be identified by name, Alex Cooper is not really involved in running the network's day-to-day operations. That is all left to her husband. Along the way, he has earned a reputation for frequently yelling at staff members. The issues have grown so acute that crew members have threatened to walk off the job at film sets and live tours if he doesn't keep his distance. Of course, the company declined to comment for the story. Last month, Trending launched, this is their umbrella company, launched a program on YouTube called Unwell Winter Games. So obviously she's just copying Mr. Beast's format, in which influencers squared off against each other in events. And according to TMZ, there were some logistical problems during the run-up to the series, resulting in an influencer contestant dropping out unexpectedly and being replaced at the last minute by a surprised member of the show's production team. So this is like some, 22-year-old production assistant intern who's getting paid a pittance, and she gets called upon to be a part of this major TV show. At another point during the filming, according to people familiar, Matt Kaplan berated the staff on set and threatened to prevent them from ever working in Hollywood again if they messed up, resulting in a prominent, experienced crew member breaking down in tears. Crew members filed complaints through the formal on-set process and eventually told leadership they would quit if Matt Kaplan didn't behave better.
I feel like that's one of those things, tell me if I'm wrong, like the time when somebody actually makes sure you never work again, nothing is said on set. You just anger someone so much that they go on the vendetta after the fact. But when they actually physically say it, they're actually blowing off steam. And it's still wrong, and you still shouldn't be verbally abusing your coworkers. But on Hollywood sets, this is oftentimes the norm because, and obviously it's a little bit different. It almost seems worse, right? Like, people yelling at each other on a Hollywood set feels like the clash of personalities as they pursue the goal of theoretically a great piece of art. Whereas this is like,
we're talking about the Call Her Daddy Winter Olympics.
It would be like me and you yelling at each other. It would be like there's just something like kind of empty about it, right?
It's
because
pathetic.
podcasting is not the same thing as being pursuant to like a great piece of art. Whether it turns out that way or not, it feels like it makes more sense to me, even if it's still wrong when it happens on a movie set. But that's not really what matters. What matters is how much money is at stake. And there's millions upon millions of dollars worth of money at stake for these things. So the anger, as much as it makes sense, it's still wrong.
I mean, Matt Kaplan probably in that moment felt like he was Tom Cruise in that infamous like leaked audio screaming at everybody
or Christian
to wear
Bale.
their mask.
Or Christian Bale when he did it on the set of Terminator Salvation, where he, oh, good for you. Like, you know, and then people, I've actually
and it's like, bro, this is the Unwell Winter Games.
Well,
like,
I mean, to be fair, that was Terminator Salvation, which I like, but, you know, it's still like Terminator 4. But the point being is that, like, we live in a time now where Gen Z especially is, like, lauded for not taking things seriously at all. So I get kind of excited when I hear about Christian Bale yelling at people, because I'm like, look, there's a guy who still takes his craft seriously.
Yeah, I can respect that.
Even
also,
if it's wrong.
I respect that more from a Christian Bale or a Tom Cruise than this guy.
Well, and Tom Cruise was like a major producer on his own movie, so his own money is like at stake here, you know?
Exactly. So the Hulu documentary about Alex Cooper's first live tour came out last year, and there was a scene in which one of the crew members, a production manager, threatens to quit. And this report claims to have the real story that was not shown in the Hulu docuseries. At the time, it was showing Matt Kaplan chalking up the situation to a demanding work schedule. But according to a person close with the conflict, the production manager's concerns had much more to do with Matt Kaplan disrespecting staff by yelling and swearing at them. And the documentary also captured a frenzied environment as the company rushed to put together a live show. In the past year, several high-level executives have left Unwell Network, including the company's head of brand marketing, head of the network, its second in 3 years, and chief growth officer. Now, forgive me if I don't know business speak well enough. But what the hell is a chief growth officer? I think they just hired too many people.
Brand expansion. Like
they hired 100 people.
I don't know what that means.
Rate.
Like, I don't know what their what their day-to-day job is, but my guess is like making sure channels are growing, making sure they're expanding into different sectors of business, which is weird because it feels like that would be the job of any number of executives.
Right.
Like, I mean, he's not there anymore.
It doesn't feel like a role that needs to be delineated as such.
Yeah.
Because aren't they all concerned with growth? Whatever. Yeah. I'm not an entrepreneur, so I don't know about this stuff.
All right.
And at least 20 have now marked themselves on LinkedIn as having left Unwell in both 2025 and 2026. And they go further into the failure of Unwell to start new shows that anyone cares about besides Call Her Daddy. They're moving on to trying to pick up a show that already exists, but that's a really competitive environment when you have other major networks that don't have a figurehead, like they don't have a star or a face.
We talked about this yesterday.
They have more funding too.
We were talking about this yesterday because of Maria Sharapova like launching her own podcast, and it kind of got into it kind of went away from what I was trying to talk about. But the idea is basically like podcasts are democratized in that anybody can make one now. And we were focusing more on the feminism of like the idea that there's too many men in podcasting when literally anybody can start a podcast. But the point of the articles that I was reading, and there was also an old study from the USC Annenberg Inclusion Initiative, was basically like the top 500 podcasts. And these are the data. But if you're going to be in that top 500 podcasts, yes, some of them will be of their own creation. But a lot of them are like the New York Times podcast or Amy Poehler, who's got a platform before she even started with the podcast and stuff like that. It is very corporate now in a lot of ways because they're trying to make that transition, but it is very hard outside of putting massive amounts of money into advertising. Like, we're talking millions upon millions of dollars into advertising. Most people, you can't just put them in there. And they've talked about this here, right? Which is like, it's very hard to hire somebody to do this because anybody who's charismatic enough or good enough to do it can go do it on their own and make more money.
Right. I mean, there are a lot of challenges. I think Alex Cooper didn't realize what she was biting off when she went independent and started her production company. And it sounds like she's offloaded the actual work to her husband, which is not who she presents herself to be in the public eye. She presents herself as being a businesswoman who actually deals with the operation of her company, and yet she's doing she has the same exact level of responsibility, it seems, that she had when she was under the Barstool umbrella.
I mean, her reputation alone is enough to say that she's part of that, because she is the brand in a lot of ways. As important as Matt Kaplan may be, is that Matt, right? Matt Kaplan? I'm not saying that wrong.
Matt Kaplan,
okay.
Yeah.
As important as he is to the business side of things, you can find a great executive producer. You can find a great business person. Finding great talent is not the same thing.
But the ideal scenario for her is not being the face of her production company.
Yeah.
It's having a whole slate of talent that have genuine, dedicated, loyal fan bases. And it says, even in this report, it says she gets like upwards of 13 million downloads on each episode of her show. And all of the shows that they have made other than hers have like less than 100,000. It's not going so well for her. It's a rocky road to the heights of success. And I guess we're still waiting on Alex Earl to
respond.
Us, but
all right.
In the meantime,
let's talk about the further consequences of the podcast.
Yes. Yeah, the Call Her Daddy podcast and its consequences have been a disaster for the female race. I know there is a trope, and it's grounded in reality. There's a trope that women are much more open when it comes to talking about past relationships and sexual experiences, but usually you think about that in the context of private conversations that they have with their friends, not conversations that are getting broadcast to millions of people who they don't know. And Call Her Daddy is the stage for conversations like that. Recently, Gwyneth Paltrow went on Call Her Daddy and shared who was better in bed between Brad Pitt and Ben Affleck.
Here we go.
So let's play the clip.
Hi. Who was better in bed?
That's really hard. That is really hard because, like,
that's what she said. Sorry, I had to.
Brad was like the sort of major chemistry love of your life kind of like at the time, you know? And then like Ben was like technically excellent.
Holy fuck.
Okay, so what I said on X when I read this, because this even got my interest, because I was just thinking, I was like, we need to fire everyone at the CIA, and we should just hire Alex Cooper to work at Guantanamo. And at least for the female detainees. I don't know how many female detainees there are at Guantanamo Bay. But in general, what I think we should do, and police can employ this tactic as well. She could be like something. In fact, somebody could make a police procedural about a woman who's like a freelance interrogator. And instead of sending her into like the dark, the dark room, it's got the one light hanging down. It's really uninviting. No. You build a fake room with a couch that somehow has a microphone coming out of it. And then you just ask them whatever you want, and they'll answer the question.
Exactly. It's perfect. No need for waterboarding or any forms of torture that have been forbidden by the UN.
I was surprised.
Human Rights Council. You just sit crisscross applesauce in a loungewear set,
and you give him a sweatshirt and some pajama pants.
Give him a microphone, and they'll tell you things that you didn't even want to know.
I was well, it's like that meme where it's like my kidnappers 5 minutes after they kidnap me and they throw you out the window because you won't shut up. Yeah. Like it's kind of strange to me that Gwyneth Paltrow went the direction she did. I would think someone from her generation, maybe I'm crazy, would have a bit more I don't know, discretion. And she was more discreet, I suppose, in her delivery. She went a more, shall we say, nuance bro route rather than just becoming vulgar with what she said. But I was surprised by that. The following clip, the Hillary Duff one, not at all. She's part of a generation where I expect it from the millennials and younger. But this should be a red flag to any dude, where like a woman that wants to talk about your private life publicly. Now, obviously, that's not going to be an issue for most of us, because most of us aren't going to be dating or married to somebody who's going to be on podcasts. But you know, if she's going to say it to her girlfriends, apparently she will also say it in a room with somebody she met one time.
Yeah, and as for airing, you know, past sexual experiences to a gigantic audience, needless to say, there is a massive double standard at play where if Brad Pitt were asked who is better in bed, Gwyneth Paltrow or Angelina Jolie, or if Ben Affleck
I saw that example.
were asked who is better in bed, Jennifer Lopez or Jennifer Garner.
Well, he's gonna.
And if they commented on it that's just presuming that question would ever be asked in the first place.
It would
which
not. It would not.
But if that question were asked and they said anything in response, they would rightfully be dragged for how disrespectful it is to expose someone in that way, in such an intimate context. But this is deemed acceptable somehow. One of the responses I saw was from a woman who said, I have to say, talking about your partners like this might be one of the worst things a lot of women do and treat as normal. And granted, they may not be doing it on one of the biggest podcasts in the world, but they are doing it in casual conversations with mutual friends, or maybe even people that they're talking about, like exes to someone they're currently dating. And it's not appropriate. It really is a violation of someone's privacy and dignity, and it's dehumanizing and debasing for everyone involved. And somehow this gets applauded. The Call Her Daddy podcast, despite, claiming to be about supporting and empowering women, actually makes women look horrible. It amplifies everything wrong with women's behavior today. And that's even more relevant to Hillary Duff's recent interview, where she's talking about her current husband. She is once divorced, I believe, has 2 kids from her prior marriage. And she is talking about her current husband, Matt, and how she met him post-divorce. And he wasn't enough of a bad boy, which gave her the ick. I mean, I know she didn't say ick, but that's basically what she meant, is that he was too nice and it grossed her out because she was looking for something chaotic. So let's play that.
That's not really a thing.
So you thought it was like almost a red flag that he was too nice?
I think I was just like not ready to accept all of that yet. I was like coming out of that, like a long relationship, a divorce. Like I was just like chaotic.
Yeah.
I think I needed some chaos first.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can you explain to me?
Look at Alex Cooper's face in that still.
She's like, the 30-second clip is gonna hit so hard. Can you explain something to me? I would imagine, because as a woman, you'll be able to perhaps explain the rationale here. If you're coming out of a divorce, you're in chaos for the most part. You know, even if it's an amicable divorce, it's chaos. Why the hell would you want more chaos? What the hell is going on here?
I think maybe she's just using chaos as a synonym for something purely sexual rather than an actual lasting commitment. Sometimes if you're not mentally well, you can be addicted to the unpredictability of a situationship. That describes a lot of women, actually. And it's sad, but true. No man who is like well-adjusted and actually secure would ever want their girlfriend, fiance, wife to speak about them this way, or even privately think these things and never voice them, let alone to an audience this big. It's the same thing I said with the Nikki Glaser clip.
Yeah.
Talking about how she wants her boyfriend or husband, or they weren't married, but they've been together for like eons, wants him to flirt with other women and cheat on her, basically. I guess some people say it's not cheating if it's mutually agreed upon and it's arrangement. But
I don't know how much I even believe.
Women do not talk about men they love that way.
Yeah.
It tells you everything you need to know. She does not care about that guy. She does not love that guy. And like, aside from dudes who are just interested in casual sex, dudes who are looking for a relationship don't want to be with a woman who doesn't like want them exclusively.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, loyalty on both ends is attractive, or at least it's supposed to be.
Yep.
Another response to the Hillary Duff clip said, this podcast has done so much damage to the image of women. At this point, it's just feeding into the toxic narrative men already have about us. And this is from a feminist, by the way. But
wait, doesn't that like, okay, so if they're calling...
At what point is it a narrative? And then when does it cross over into like being true?
Okay, so then your discussion becomes, what's the threshold for that, right? 'Cause, so I will say, in defense of not the people on the podcast, but the feminists, which is that these people aren't representative of normal people. Nikki Glaser is not normal people. Hillary Duff is not normal people. Gwyneth Paltrow is definitely not normal people. These are not everyday individuals. And just in the way that the people, I saw Rollo Tomasi mention that, like, the manosphere and Louis Theroux in like in the quote tweets here, like, just like the manosphere dudes aren't representative of your average everyday guy who loves his wife, gets up every day and goes to work and comes home to a wife that he loves and takes care of his family. They're not representative of the average everyday person, and neither are these weirdos. They're circus animals.
Well, that is true, but you have to also contend with the fact that this is, the fourth most popular podcast, period, and the most popular podcast for women. And I do think, you could take a read on that is apocalyptic, which is that all of the women listening to call her daddy hear Hillary Duff or Gwyneth Paltrow or Nikki Glaser or whoever talk about their sex life, and they imitate what they hear. But in reality, I think it's actually a lot of women listening to this podcast for some sort of weird escapist fantasy or outlet. And that's not that flattering of a read on it either. But there are a lot of women who I imagine are either in committed relationships or are married. They listen to this podcast and it has no relevance to anything in their own lives, but it almost gives them a kind of sick thrill to listen to it. Like, it's sort of like reading a romantasy novel almost.
I mean, so it's just...
They want to like live vicariously through the stories that are told on this show.
Well, then is that damaging or not? I guess it's damaging in the context that it normalizes the idea and pushes people towards the worst aspects of themselves that may be possible, just because before they watch these podcasts, they wouldn't have even known that such a view of the world was even real.
Right. Like, I haven't watched Sex and the City, although that is on my watch list. I will get to it at some point. But I've gathered from like what fans say about the show that Sarah Jessica Parker's character is the wild, kind of party girl who's boy crazy, but she's grown. And then the other character, friend of hers in the show, Charlotte, is a sensible, maybe perhaps like prudish one. And I think that kind of reflects a lot of real life female friendships where there's one friend, one of the women is more sensible, mature, has a stable relationship, isn't screwing around with a bunch of dudes. And the other friend is the messy one. And the sensible friend does kind of get a weird, almost sadistic thrill out of hearing about the chaos of the other one's love life, which is actually just their sex life. And they aren't a good enough friend to ever offer real advice and like help their messy friend not be messy, because it's almost like they just use this person for entertainment value.
I
Like,
mean,
that
that's
is a real
that's
phenomenon.
disturbing in its own right. You
Yeah,
know, the idea
yeah.
that you would
But
that
Call
you
Her
would-
Daddy is like that on a huge scale, almost. That's how I view it, at least.
I mean,
But
I
there
get
are-
like, is it wrong of me? However, like as bad as these ideas are, and they are bad, is the idea that you as the viewer, like we have to let people be accountable for their own moral compass, and they might find it fascinating, they might find it interesting, but it's their job as a human being to not allow themselves to fall into such bad behavior.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would totally.
I mean, I know
agree.
I know it's not a one-to-one comparison because I think about the argument that that violent movies cause people to be violent, and people universally don't. That is almost a universally, disregarded concept now, right? You're not going to tell people that violent movies and television shows cause people to be violent because a whole host of other things cause a person to be the way they are, the way they were raised, the values they were taught. All of this different stuff comes into it. So if somebody goes into listening to Call Her Daddy and acts on an impulse that they wouldn't even have thought of before because they heard Gwyneth Paltrow talk about it or because they heard Hilary Duff talk about it, it's a whole myriad of other life experience and factors that equal out to that happening, and you can't stop people from making trash podcasts because human beings have proven over and over again that their past ends up meaning that they're going to do things that they regret, because people have free will. Free will always exist. They can also choose not to listen to the podcast.
Since you bring up violent media, okay, sure. If watching a violent movie doesn't make people act more violent, similarly, listening to Call Her Daddy doesn't necessarily convince women to go out and be whores. I'm sure that's happened before, but it does desensitize you to the idea when it should actually scandalize you a bit. So I think it does spiritually coarsen people, but the outward effects aren't as easy to quantify or observe. However, I do want to point out that some women are waking up to Alex Cooper's, tendency to sort of draw this trauma dumping and oversharing from her guests. And this satire video I got a good kick out of it.
Here we go.
This is what I think it'd be like if Alex Cooper interviewed a Holocaust survivor. Alex is wearing a purple Unwell sweatshirt and she's holding her mic precariously from the bottom. She's like, "What is up, Daddy Gang? It is your host and founding father, Alex Cooper. Today we have a very special guest, a Holocaust survivor." Then she pivots to the woman and is like, "I am so honored to have you on today. You are an icon. You are the moment." The woman's like, thanks. Alex is like, "Okay, let's just get right into it. Can you tell us about the day that you went to the Holocaust?" The woman's like, yeah, our neighbor had tipped off the Gestapo." Alex interrupts and is like, "Oh my God, fake. Neighbor, if you're listening, you are not Daddy Gang." Then she proceeds to tell like this.
I'm not gonna lie. Like me and you talk all the time about how women being the superior satirists, especially on Instagram. I don't like it when they preface beforehand what it is. It's funnier if they just put a text on screen and then go into it.
Yeah.
There's a guy who does an amazing Andrew Tate impression, and he always before the video does like, "This is my impression of Andrew Tate doing, as a GPS, as a car's GPS or something like that, because you're poor." But he always prefaces it beforehand. I'm like, you don't need to do that. Just put, because he also puts it on the screen. I'm like, you're double dipping here. Just some advice for the satirists here. All right, let's move on. What would you like to see, cringe or cute of the day?
Let's see the cringe first.
Okay, is it particularly bad? Yesterday's was bad.
There is no way that I'm going to top yesterday's cringe, so let's just not even try to compete.
It's saying sorry, it's unavailable. Hold on. Oh no, here it is. I got it. Hold on. Let me double check here. No, here it is.
Okay.
Oh no, it stopped again. It's not letting it play.
Did it get deleted?
Might have gotten deleted.
Gosh.
Hey, how are you? That is awesome.
Thank you. With friends and family for now almost 5 years, and we just
It's not playing.
That's weird.
I don't know what that's about.
Well, maybe we'll find another cringe in the meantime.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's do Q of the day,
not?
ladies and gentlemen. This one is from Booster. Says, meet Quinn. She just wants loves all the time. It's a very cute dog.
Hi, Quinn.
I don't know if Quinn's allowed on the bed, but it should not be doing that. Don't let it do that.
Gosh, you guys, I'm on like limited time here. I don't know if I can get another cringe that fast.
Maybe by the end of the episode. And we'll do one
Maybe
more
when
here.
we're in the Superchats. Sorry, guys.
From Quoth the Raven, Lieutenant Stanley Homer reporting for duty. Look at
Oh, I love the vest.
That's a-
See, is that acceptable dog clothing?
Yes, it is. The vest is acceptable
There you
clothing
go.
because it
It's
looks
tactical.
tactical, looks
For
military.
any tactical situations that
Yep.
your dog may or may not be involved in.
We're good for it there. All right, let's move on. We've got more stuff to get into.
Yeah, so I am going to see the Devil Wears Prada sequel tomorrow, and I'm not looking forward to it. The press on the red carpet at the premiere last night isn't helping the situation. So what I knew from the start about this movie is that it was dreadful looking. They didn't even attempt to color grade it. It looks nothing like the 2006 original. That's a problem in and of itself. Secondly, I just don't have faith in most new movies, especially if they're based on IP. So that's another point of suspicion on my part. And thirdly, they're going to change it to be, sensitive to modern audiences, or at least who they believe is watching. And Anne Hathaway has been personally battling production behind the scenes for this whole period of development to make sure the movie is as inclusive as possible, which flies in the face of the entire point of the original movie. If you've watched the original, you'll recall that Anne Hathaway's character, Andy, starts her job at Runway, the magazine, as, a size 4, size 6. They maybe even exaggerated it a little bit. They put her in a frumpy sweater to make her look a little bigger. But really, she's a skinny woman. She's a thin, healthy-looking woman. And constantly she's encountering these people who work in the fashion industry who think that she is obese because they live in a bubble. That's kind of what they're communicating there. And she's body shamed for not fitting sample sizes. But that was included in the original movie to be a self-deprecating remark about the fashion industry. It was actually more inclusive than forced inclusivity that is featured in the sequel.
Wait, meaning that it was a critique of the fashion industry?
It was a critique.
Okay.
It was a critique of the fashion industry. And throughout the whole 2006 movie, Emily Blunt's character is starving herself for Paris Fashion Week. And they are essentially making fun of her for her ridiculous obsession with her figure.
You know what the guys
How is
version
that
of
not
this?
getting the message across?
Yeah. The guys version of this, it's really funny. I was listening to a podcast. I was listening to some of the reviews of WrestleMania this year, and they were talking about how the dudes because if you're a pro wrestler, you're already most likely in ridiculously good shape. They're in ridiculouser good shape for WrestleMania because it's like the biggest night of the year. So that's Paris Fashion Week for the dudes.
Definitely,
Yep.
yeah. It's sort of like that, if we had to make an analogy for the men in the audience. So Anne Hathaway basically siphoned all of the meaning out of the 2006 movie when she shared this anecdote on the red carpet about confronting the production team to include a wide range of body types and sizes. And they hadn't even thought about it, and they were so grateful for her input. So let's listen to this.
I had noticed that we had beautiful models on set, and a lot of them were maybe more traditionally model size. And I knew what the context of the scene was, and I thought the scene would be so much more enjoyable for the audience if we had just a wider range of bodies on display, because all different shapes are beautiful. And so I just went to the producers and I asked that question, don't you think the scene would be stronger if we had a more inclusive approach to...
Okay, can I ask you a question? Do you think there's any realm in reality where she actually means what she's saying there, and that and they did it for the good of the audience? Do you think that the audience came into thought at any point there? Because theoretically, if you want your movie to do good, I guess maybe you're just brainwashed and you think that matters to the audience. I don't think it does. Maybe I'm wrong in that. But is there any realm where she's being honest here about what she's saying?
Would audiences be happier with Anne Hathaway as the protagonist of the movie being plus size in the sequel?
Yeah.
Like, no, they wouldn't. That's totally. She's telling this story to make herself sound like a saint.
Exactly.
Let's just finish up this
Yep.
fake story here.
Size, you know, and they looked up and they were so sad that they hadn't thought about it. I think they were so locked in that they just kind of
They were so sad.
They were like, oh my God, I didn't think of that.
flow. But as soon as they saw it, they were the ones who just made it happen in like an hour. So
They were like, call the fatties. Call the fatties.
Yeah, and her detail at the end there about how they got the fatties in less than an hour. Like we got the fat modeling agency on speed dial. Don't worry about it.
They actually lost some weight on the way over because they ran over to get here.
Exactly.
It's all fake virtue signaling.
That is insane. And by the way, Anne Hathaway is no exception to the trend of actresses becoming skeletal. I wouldn't say she has changed her appearance dramatically, but you can definitely tell there are some possible peptides involved in the process. And she is positioning herself against the competition. Like, that's really what's happening here. She is happy being skinny and telling everyone else that all bodies are beautiful. That's, you know, the about face of the entire Ozempic, the rise of Ozempic, is that nobody really wanted to be fat in the first place.
In the chat, Phil says Anne Hathaway looks awful. Well, that's to a point of contrary, apparently, from the industry, who I guess, what was it, People magazine? I don't remember which one I sent it to you, was voted the most beautiful woman in the world, like very recently.
In the world is okay. They're definitely judging.
Okay, maybe I'm fake newsing here. It might have been in the country. Maybe it might have been in America.
I mean, even that is like kind of a wild claim. I thought that People's Sexiest Man Alive was only allowed because objectifying men is okay, but sure. And this reminded me of a comment that came out from Meryl Streep in Harper's Bazaar last month, where she was also heaping praise on Anne Hathaway for making sure the movie includes all body sizes. She said that during production, since they experienced being welcomed into the fashion industry with The Devil Wears Prada title carrying the cachet that it does, they were able to attend real fashion shows in Milan and use those clips for the movie itself. And Meryl Streep says, I was struck by not only how beautiful and young, everyone seems young to me, but how alarmingly thin the models were. And she said, I thought that all had been addressed years ago. Annie, she's referring to Anne Hathaway as Annie clocked it too, and she made a beeline to the producers about it, securing promises that the models in the show that we were putting together for our film would not be so skeletal. She's a stand-up girl. But, you know, Anne Hathaway doesn't want to be chubby in solidarity with the beautiful chubby women. She's perfectly happy to remain being quite thin in comparison. And of course, this is just a way to ice out the competition. That reminds me, there were ice out pins on the red carpet.
Got it right
the
there.
premiere,
Yep.
Of course. You can't escape it. I didn't even know that was still a trending topic.
Still going on.
He reminded me. I thought that ice already stepped down, but I guess I just didn't get the memo. They're still in Minneapolis? I don't know.
I don't think they're in Minneapolis.
And there is another discourse generator about the sequel having cut Sydney Sweeney's cameo. I do vaguely recall them announcing that she would be in it briefly, but it didn't stick with me for some reason because there were no other details provided. But according to a source in Entertainment Weekly, this was not, in fact, a boycott of Sydney Sweeney herself or her supposed political views or her American Eagle campaign. This was cut for probably time purposes. They reveal the actress filmed a scene that would have appeared near the beginning of the film. so in this universe, Anne Hathaway doesn't exist, but Sydney Sweeney does exist, and she happens to be a client of Emily Blunt's character, playing herself as Sydney Sweeney. And they say it was a creative decision to nix the cameo altogether, although I think Lady Gaga got to keep hers. So
when was the movie announced? 2024?
I mean, it might have been, that far back,
like
2024.
I guess that would have been like what, around the time of the success of Anyone But You. But Sydney Sweeney's, I mean, look, I don't know when her cameo was like thought of, but her cultural cachet has grown extensively since 2024. She's a very different star now than she was in 2024. I think Anyone But You 2023 or 2024?
That was in 2023.
Okay, so, you know, she's grown a lot as far as being a star in Hollywood has gone. But also that means that she's taken very differently because she's been mired in a ton of different weird scandals amongst people in her own industry.
I don't know how to explain this in a language that men understand, because I know they don't care about pop music and fashion that much. But it just makes more sense for Lady Gaga to have a celebrity cameo in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Way more.
Than Sydney Sweeney. Because Sydney Sweeney, I mean, she has stylists. Of course, she is well dressed, but she doesn't seem all that interested in fashion. She doesn't have all that distinctive of a sense of style other than just wearing stuff that looks good on her. And that's fine, but...
Who's another person that you could imagine having a cameo in this because they've got, like, their own unique sense of fashion?
I mean, if we're talking about, like, actresses in their 20s, that's tough.
Doesn't have to be somebody in their 20s. Could be any... I mean, Lady Gaga's not in her 20s.
Sure, but I'm sure they wanted someone who was, like... young on the younger side.
Mark Johnson in the chat mentioned American Eagle. The American Eagle stuff likely happened way after this was filmed. Like,
Elle Fanning. Elle Fanning has I love Elle Fanning's style, and she has a very distinctive style. But like Sydney Sweeney, I actually saw a very insightful take on this. She's like unbridled by the expectations of appealing to the female gaze, which is actually a very oppressive one that, you know, would prefer you to look alien-like and malnourished. She only cares about wearing stuff that is like, that looks good and sexy. That's it.
Should have had.
And that's not like fashion. That's actually dressing your body. But when it comes to like having a distinctive style, it is about the clothes, not your body.
This movie needs more Emma Roberts being mean to people. That's what it needs.
Yeah, no. Why isn't Emma Roberts in it? That makes me angry.
That would make way more sense.
Anne Hathaway seems to be causing the resurgence of Hathahate, which I feel has been memory hold lately. Hathahate is the term people use to refer to the online hate bandwagon against Anne Hathaway in the early 2010s, around Les Mis era. Anne Hathaway, she was like Rachel Zegler before Rachel Zegler, but also didn't really do anything to deserve it, unlike Rachel Zegler. Like, she was seen as overly performative, overly maybe like goody two-shoes, buttoned up. It was like she just kind of annoyed people for no reason. Okay. And I'm seeing a lot of Hathahate resurgence on the TL lately, especially in regard to this inshallah comment. This is like, we don't even need to show the clip because it's literally such a blink and you miss it thing. She just said, I want to have a long, healthy life, inshallah. I hope so. She just means God willing. Okay, that's what that means. But people are freaking out. I don't understand. I throw around an inshallah in casual conversation sometimes.
I saw a video from today where a fan gifted her a Quran after the quote. I have no idea if it's a fact of media framing and maybe she got the Quran before this happened.
Why?
But yeah,
that is so random and weird.
Yep.
I feel like most Muslims wouldn't want her to use that term, which is why it's funny to use it. But
right.
I don't know.
If anybody's wondering, it's looking to, at least the early tracking for the movie says $66 million opening. At least that's the numbers that I saw for it, which is, it's about where I imagined I would see it be. Like back in the day, this movie would have made good money at the box office, but it would have really made great money on the DVD sales after the fact. But now it's just going to have to settle for like pay VOD afterwards, that hope that people want to do that. But that's no fun if you can't get the like the unique steelbook with a cool cover or something aesthetic that women would actually like to own. Not that women are big. Not that the women who care about Devil Wears Prada are probably not necessarily the biggest physical media consumers, but
maybe. I mean, I own the book actually that it's based on. I've never read it. I probably never will read it, but it's one of the editions that was published after the movie, so it has the same. It's the cover of the book is the same as the movie poster with the stiletto. So I mean, maybe I'm interested to see the turnout when I go to the theater tomorrow. That's gonna be interesting.
All right, let's move on. There's more to talk about.
You know what? I'm going to say something that everyone else is too afraid to say. And it's that Taylor Lorenz deserves more credit. Just for this one particular story that she broke 7 years ago, actually, about the encroachment of brand deals and greedy scams into weddings, specifically those of influencers. And back in 2019, we were definitely well on the way to full-blown influencer grifting, but it was still regarded with a little bit of suspicion to get brand deals, and especially to associate them with something as special as your wedding day. There was still some backlash that you would expect from that. And it was about this couple who I actually had never heard of before. Their names were Marissa Fuchs and her now husband, Gabriel Grossman. We'll get into that in a second, but she's saying this is basically the logical conclusion of the original story that she broke. Just Jazzy posted her wedding announcement with a brand deal for Capital One. And on all of the wedding photos, you see hashtag Capital One partner. She posted this photo of her and her husband on their wedding day, captioned it, Capital One partner, getting married is overwhelming enough. Before the big day, there's so much to do. It's so important to talk about your finances as a couple and what your plan is when it comes to budgeting, building and improving credit, saving, borrowing, repaying debt, and investing. And while it feels complicated, Capital One gives simple steps you can take to increase your financial knowledge and make it easy. Capital One is celebrating Financial Literacy Month by giving access to products and services like their Financial Success Hub and workshops at your local Capital One cafe. Head to the link in my bio to learn more.
There's literally a comment that says, an ad done right, slay.
See, this is where we're at in the Big 26. These days, your fans are going to praise you for using your wedding to get a check from Capital One. But back in 2019, I think maybe people just were a little naive and didn't expect influencers to stoop that low. And it was quite a surprise to this influencer, Marissa. It was quite a surprise that her fans didn't take it so kindly. They were like, wait a minute, we thought we were observing this huge milestone in your life and this personal look into your relationship, and it was all for money?
Shocking.
Back then, that was the reaction. Now it's get your bag, queen.
Yep.
And now we're all in on it, I guess.
I mean,
and it used to be like you were seen as a sellout, which you should be. But that reaction is gone totally out the window.
It's this is a product of a life lived in front of a phone camera now. Like, you're no longer an individual, you're an influencer and a brand, and every aspect of your life is monetizable. The best thing I can say about this is, at the very least, it's not private equity or a major corporation doing it, other than I mean the company sponsoring them is, but at least they're like individuals. Like one of the big complaints people have about WWE now, since they got bought out by Endeavor and turned into TKO with UFC, is like it's just one giant effing ad all the time. The tables are branded. There's branding everywhere. There's 1,000 ads an episode, and you get like 8 seconds of wrestling, and the rest of it is brand deals. Apparently, some dude at WrestleMania just paid a lot of money so that he could sit with the announcers and not say anything for a match. Like they'll whore it out for literally anything. So this is the world we live in now. Everything's about eyeballs on product
and gambling.
And
but
gambling.
That's another conversation entirely. So I wanted to share the story that Taylor Lorenz exposed in 2019. Basically, this influencer, Marissa Fuchs, she did mostly fashion and lifestyle content on Instagram. She happened to be, I believe, a brand director for Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop at the time, but had a following of her own. Her fiance, Gabriel, posted a video professing his love to her, telling her that she was about to embark on an extraordinary adventure. And he set up this elaborate social media scavenger hunt, going to multiple different destinations in the country, and then ending in Paris, where she was going to find all of these luxury gifts and document the entire thing on her page. But what was exposed by The Atlantic is a pitch deck that they created and sent out months in advance to all of the brands that supported the luxury vacation, essentially, that they went on. So what they found out, what her followers found out, is that the proposal was not a surprise. It was actually totally fake. The entire thing was for them to make money off of a stack of different brand deals. And the pitch deck included such granular detail as, long form vertical video packing for a trip, stop in Montauk going to breakfast at this restaurant. And you can, as the brand or the client receiving this pitch deck, claim one of the slots to be featured prominently in each post. So there were like upwards of 20 posts that she scheduled months in advance on this pitch deck. And then they had the nerve to lie about it after the fact. And Gabriel, her fiance, who by the way isn't an influencer himself, claimed falsely that this all was something that he created himself without her involved. Which doesn't even make
no.
Doesn't even make sense, because why would a major brand sign a deal to pay an influencer who hasn't consented to promote them?
No.
They need to have a contract that is. What did he do? Like forge her signature? None of it makes any sense. But they insulted their followers' intelligence.
Is it this video?
Claiming that it was all what it appeared to be.
Is it this video?
No, this was back in 2019. Okay. The other examples here are Becca Bloom. We've talked about Becca Bloom on the show before. Her luxury wedding was sponsored by Lancome, and she had to post hashtag Lancome partner on all of the posts related to her wedding.
We've got
applauded her for it.
Yeah, we got a 20 from Kyle Dixon. It says Brett and Olivia Dasovic's wedding, brought to you by Cass Brew Coffee. That would have been great.
That would be more honest than what we're seeing here, for sure.
Okay, so if I was to try and explain this in my head, which is like when the age of like the Paris Hiltons of the world and the Kim Kardashians of the world first started blowing up, right? And they became big stars because of reality TV. The joke was always like they're famous for nothing. Like they're not famous for any particular reason. They're literally just famous for existing. Well, the natural extension of that is that you can monetize existence. And some of the most important things that you monetize are the things that are Instagram friendly, which is major milestones in your life. If I was Becca Bloom, I'd be like, look, here's the sheet for my next birthday. Get in while you can. Here's the I'm going to visit my parents in February. You can buy an ad space for that one.
She's like I'm going to do Hermes pin the tail on the donkey.
Yeah.
Like that's the level of depravity we've reached.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. Like all this is just eyeballs on screens.
And that Danielle Walter influencer that you pulled up.
This one?
Yeah, we've discussed her on the show, I think, a couple of different times because she documented the entire process of dating her now fiance before revealing his identity to her following. And she became a subject of mockery and derision, rightfully so, for her behavior. But now that they're engaged, she's using that for brand deals. In this entire video, you don't need the sound because it's copyright music, but you can tell the whole thing looks like a commercial, and all of the people at their engagement party are paid actors. And it's filmed like, one commenter said, a credit card commercial. But in reality, this engagement party is sponsored by the Ritz-Carlton, where it was held. And she also tags all of the brands that she was wearing in the video, her videographer, her photographer, dress, shoes, everything. It's all a money-making venture. And I'm not one of those people who will begrudge you for getting your bag. It's just sometimes you have to know that some things are sacred. And like this has to be one of them, right?
I suppose. Well, there should be a part in your brain where you're like, okay, maybe the birthday. Okay, you want to monetize the birthday party, sure, but it's also, this is the side effect of people who have to override the instinct for a private life and put literally everything out there. Like, not most people aren't built that way to share every aspect of every day. These people are, and that's their entire brand. That's how they make money. So the natural extension of that, like the only thing that I can see, maybe this exists, but the worst version of this is like the birth of my first child sponsored by Huggies.
Oh no, that is 100% going to be a thing if it hasn't already.
Like, and
I'm sure it has.
And it's going to be like the slow motion video of like both of them holding the kid for the first time with the music going on. Absolutely going to be a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if when you think about how much money has been made by the what tabloids would pay for the first photo of a celebrity's child, and then tie it to brand awareness and like hundreds of millions of followers on social media, that's way more disturbing than the wedding to me.
And I've said it before, but I applaud Tom Holland and Zendaya for keeping their wedding to themselves because it's special to them. And it's actually quite impressive that they were able to keep it under wraps.
Mark in the chat says starts with the gender reveal. Yeah, the gender reveal sponsored by, look, I don't know, like what's a kid's company?
It'll end up being like some sort of transhumanist biotech company.
Gosh.
They're gonna promote like the biotech company that helped them select their embryo. But on the male side of things, there is a groom-to-be facing backlash for his way of affording a picture-perfect wedding.
When you can't afford to monetize your wedding with brand deals, you do what this king did, which is find rare Charizard cards and sell them for, I think, like over $30,000.
$40,000.
Yeah, between all of them, more than that. Yeah.
Yeah, to his surprise, he was in possession of some extremely rare Charizard Pokemon cards that he says did not hold any sentimental value to him. So he didn't feel a loss by selling them off in order to fund their wedding day. And it was over $40,000 that they raked in from doing so. But when people saw this story on X, it was met with like backlash that truly makes no sense to me. They're all saying basically like, she's gonna divorce you. Don't do this. You're sacrificing something that's special.
Yeah.
For
he literally said
wedding.
it's not special to me. I did. It said it says they were from the popular. Hold on, where I had it pulled up here. Yeah, it says all 3 cards were from the 2003 Skyridge series, hailed as one of the best ever produced in the company's 30-year history. The holographic Charizard is the unofficial chase card, and in a perfect condition, can sell for upwards to $40,000. Braun, that's his name, had the cards graded by PSA, a professional authenticating company. One holographic Charizard was somehow rated as a 9, despite decades of poor storage, and sold for a whopping $21,250. Another near mint of the same card sold for $16,250. The third, a reverse holographic Charizard from the same series, sold for $3,500.
But the reason, according to him, that they were in such good condition is because he didn't care about them. So the ones he actually likes are the ones that are beaten up from being in his pocket.
Yeah.
You know, so, but people are just like jumping to the least flattering conclusions. One of the replies said, to blow your retirement fund in a single night when you'll barely remember who was at your wedding in 10 years while knowing 60% of marriages end in divorce and Pokemon is going up 60% a year. It's an asymmetrically dumb move. Like,
there's no whimsy. There's no whimsy in the world anymore.
To be fair, if I suddenly were realized I was in the possession of like this level of value,
you're not telling anybody.
I would not blow it on a party.
Yeah.
Like, he definitely could have made a wiser decision with how to spend the money, but it's his.
I'm not saying
Ultimately,
it's smart.
It's his call.
But I appreciate... You know what? I say all the time, we need a little bit more saccharine in the movies, and we need some more whimsy. This is a very, very risky form of whimsy, and I'm okay with it. He's an adult. He has agency. He can make his own decisions. I hope they live together forever in harmony.
Let's just establish, though, the average wedding in the U.S., I believe, costs $30,000. That's the average cost of a wedding.
It's expensive.
So let's just aim to not spend more than the average.
There you go.
Which he is. So just a thought.
Before we move on, we got some 20s here. Do you got those on there, or have they not shown up yet?
Let me look here.
From
Pop Culture Junkie, right?
Yep.
Research on the effectiveness of partnerships like weddings shows their effectiveness is iffy. Really depends on the specific brand. It seems some work quite well. Others fail miserably. Not being too obvious is key.
I mean, but the problem is like, don't you want it to be obvious? Otherwise, people are going to be left feeling duped.
It's also, I mean, if you don't disclose it, that is technically illegal, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think.
I haven't been offered a brand deal.
Shane H. Wilder.
I worked with a reporter at one point who got fired for doing brand deals. It came to a head when she tried to promote her interview with the mom of a child who died by wearing a Vichy fur coat, then tagging them in the video. Bro.
What the frick?
What is wrong with people? And that's a report. We're not even talking about like the influencer class. This is just
a reporter.
What is being normalized to people now?
Thank you.
And I mean, Brett is as capitalist as they come. Even he is really capitalist. Let's say all. Thank you guys.
Look, I kind of laughed because when I know it's not a fair comparison, but like when Ricky Gervais was like, if ISIS had a streaming service, you'd call your agent to see if you could get a show. And then, you know, Saudi Arabia and Qatar all put like 20 billion towards Warner Brothers and Paramount. Let's go. It's about as capitalist as you can get. But I don't know about this whole like sponsored interviews with victims stuff. That's just disturbing.
Well, speaking of influencers, we have another influencer to discuss today. This story is absolutely insane. So a bunch of Republican men likely just found out that they were scammed out of thousands of dollars. They were duped by a fake AI-generated MAGA babe influencer under the screen name Emily Hart. And the man behind this fake influencer, still anonymous Indian man, has spoken out on the process and why he did this in the first place. And does he feel any remorse? Spoiler, he doesn't. He thinks that his scamming victims were just dummies and that they deserved to lose their money. So Wired did an extensive report on this with quotes from the scammer himself, leaving his name behind the scenes. We're not going to find out who this is, but they do mention he wants to move to the US one day, and that's why he was trying to make some extra cash to afford to emigrate here and then continue his scamming ways. So it says Sam, like many medical students, Sam was broke. This is a fake name, obviously. How about we come up with an Indian name to call him?
I don't know.
I'm gonna call him Vivek.
Okay.
Like many medical students, Vivek was broke. The 22-year-old aspiring orthopedic surgeon from North India got some money from his parents, but he says he spent most of it subsidizing his licensing exams. And he's still saving up to hopefully emigrate to the US after graduation. So he started searching for ways to make additional money online. He requested a pseudonym to avoid jeopardizing his medical career and immigration status. I think that the administration should
look into this.
Wired, or whoever this journalist is, to reveal this information because we have a right to know. But anyway, he tried a few things with varying degrees of success, making YouTube shorts or selling study notes to other med students. It wasn't until he started scrolling through his Instagram that he landed on an idea. Why not make an AI-generated girl using Google Gemini's Nano Banana Pro and sell bikini photos of her online? But when Sam started posting generic photos of beautiful, scantily clad women on Instagram, he was dismayed to find that none of the content was hitting.
Well, it's a busy market out there these days. You got to find a way to stand out from the crowd. It's not easy.
Well, that's what Gemini told him. It said if you create a generic hot girl, you're competing with a million other models.
You got to have a niche.
He presented Gemini with a few possible options to stand out, and it selected one in particular, the MAGA conservative niche, calling it a cheat code. Plus, it said the conservative audience, especially older men in the US, often has higher disposable income and is more loyal. And of course, they reached out to Google to get a comment on Gemini saying this, encouraging someone to scam people. It said Gemini is designed not to give a particular opinion unless you tell it to. Instead, it's designed to offer neutral responses that don't favor any political ideology or viewpoint.
The only way this could have been funnier is if Emily Hart somehow ended up on a Real American Beer calendar.
Right, the ultra-right dads calendar.
Is that what it was? Ultra-right beer. Yes, not Real American Beer is Hulk Hogan's beer, I think. Ultra-right beer.
Isn't it telling that the Gemini rep only wanted to absolve themselves of being affiliated with MAGA instead of denying that Gemini encourages people to commit financial crime?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I made that point. So in the show, in the first season of Peacemaker, I always pointed out that it was weird that they would point out that Peacemaker's dad was always ridiculed for being a racist, but not the fact that he turned his son into like a murderous monster. But let's focus on the fact that he was a bigot, which of course, weird. Character flaw being what it is, maybe we should also focus on how he turned his son into a killer. But apparently not.
Ultimately, Vivek, created Emily Hart, a registered nurse and Jennifer Lawrence lookalike. On an Instagram account for Emily, he posted photos of her ice fishing, drinking Coors Light, and shooting off a few rounds at the rifle range with captions like, "If you want a reason to unfollow, Christ is king, abortion is murder, and all illegals must be deported." And POV, you were assigned intelligent at birth, but you identify as liberal, clown emoji. I don't even know what that second one means. I can't even parse through that. Though Sam has...
Oh, your microphone cut out there. your microphone cut out there. It was probably Sam doing that to you who cut your microphone out. I think that is what is going on right now. The funny thing I thought about it was like turning her into a registered nurse also feels like it's a weird form of like they were looking for the most stereotypical thing that they could find. Do you think that that's true? Got it?
Am I back?
Yeah, you're good.
You can hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay, we're good.
yeah. I think Sam just cut you off there.
I don't know why he chose a profession for this fake woman anyway.
No,
Like,
you
how
have
is
to.
that
It creates more
relevant?
content. It creates more content, in scrubs or something like that.
I guess.
Yeah.
To diversify your content portfolio.
Exactly.
Though Sam has never lived in the United States, he became a student of MAGA ideology. Every day I'd write something pro-Christian, Second Amendment, pro-life, anti-abortion, anti-woke, anti-immigration. The grift seemed almost too obvious, but to his astonishment, the account blew up. Every reel got 3 million, 5 million, 10 million views. The algorithm loved it. And within a month, Emily Hart had more than 10K on Instagram, many of whom also subscribed to her softcore AI-generated content on OF competitor FanView. And what I know about FanView is that it does seem like the premier space for AI OnlyFans hoes rather than real people. Between FanView subscriptions and selling MAGA t-shirts, one, for instance, that said PTSD, pretty tired of stupid Democrats, Sam estimates he was making a few $1,000s a month. He said, I was spending maybe 30 to 50 minutes of my day and making good money for a medical student. In India, even in professional jobs, you can't make that amount of money. I haven't seen an easier way online. Emily Hart is one of a slew of AI-generated hot girl MAGA influencers on social media, thanks to tech-savvy young men like Sam, capitalizing both on pro-Trump sentiment and Americans' relative lack of digital literacy?
Is there an AI version of this that goes the other way? Is there a riding with Biden like Democrat influencer that can get the money off the libs?
No, they asked the same question and Sam had an answer for that. They say the same logic doesn't apply to left-wing influencer accounts, as he learned when he created a short-lived liberal counterpart for Emily. He said Democrats know that it's AI slop, so they don't engage as much. And his explanation for why MAGA influencer accounts work is blunt. He says, the MAGA crowd is made up of dumb people, like super dumb people, and they fall for it.
He's like a tornado. He's completely indifferent to who he destroys.
So, I mean, why do we think that the MAGA OF influencer?
I'm guessing it has to
was
do
more
with
effective?
I'm guessing it has to do with the age of the target demo, like older men.
Yeah, because his explanation is, oh, like MAGA people are dumb, but really what he's talking about is boomers. Like he's talking about tech illiterate Gen X or maybe boomers.
Yeah, maybe the idea is that there isn't a market for it with liberal boomers because they can hear their. The other thing is like they can hear their views parroted back by actual people.
Right.
So like they can have actual Jennifer Lawrence parrot back what they believe, so they don't need to give Emily Hart any money.
That's a really good point.
I don't know. I mean, how is like Ashley Sinclair's like on the other side of this discussion now, right? She's like a lefty now, right? She's in liberal circles.
You would think if you were trying to appeal to like a younger male MAGA audience, they might actually rather go for a fake liberal AI influencer because there's some sort of
I can change her. I can fix her.
Yeah, there's some sort of like something foreign about that. There's something exotic about the blue-haired lib girl with the septum piercing. You know, like there's a conquering that they feel, like a conquering instinct that they may feel over the liberal OnlyFans hoe.
I just didn't we have a discussion one time about how they were saying that it's actually Gen Z that was statistically falling for more scams online because they are more online?
That's a fair point. Yeah.
So I don't know if it's
despite
boomers.
being more skeptical of things they see, they're just online so much more often that I'm sure that's why that's happening. But, you know, even though liberals didn't subscribe to the counterpart of Emily, they did fall for Emily in that they were leaving angry comments on her videos.
Okay.
It says liberals would flock to Emily Hart's page to leave irate comments, but they were still clicking. It's a win-win situation because you're getting engagement anyway, and your content will go viral. And lately, Sam says he has noticed that pro-Nazi, pro-Hitler content has been getting especially high engagement on platforms like Reels, speculating that an AI hot girl Nazi influencer would blow up. It would just break all the records.
I think that's going to get banned. I think that's getting banned. If Kanye being banned by multiple countries is any indication that you found the line that these companies are willing to accept.
Right. Well, I do see some pretty spicy stuff spreading, going viral on Reels, but it doesn't last very long. It does get taken down. And they did reach out to Meta, by the way, for a comment on that. And they were like, well, that is against our terms of service. That's against our policy. In recent months, the phenomenon has attracted more notice, especially after a Washington Post article charted the rise of Jessica Foster, a leggy blonde Army service member who went viral for posting a selfie with Donald Trump and Putin. Though her Instagram account was clearly fake, it garnered more than 1 million followers in just over 4 months, which Jessica Foster appeared to capitalize on by promoting feet pics. The account has since been taken down, and an account for Foster has since been added to FanView. So it's like it almost doesn't matter if your Instagram account eventually gets banned because you've already funneled people over to the subscription platform.
It's
like you might as well just go for it.
It makes me long for the days of the female IDF soldier propaganda.
Oh wow, it's been a while since we've seen those.
That was they
used to have to hire actual models.
Yep.
To promote IDF.
They don't got to do that anymore. They
so much easier now.
It's the Wild West out there. I'm not gonna lie. I find something hilarious about the fact that there is some. Maybe it's just because I'm stuck in the thick of it here in America, where everybody's so polarized, left or right. And this guy's like, I'll scam the left, I'll scam the right. I don't give a fuck. I just any of them. I just want to make some money.
They
in a movie, this guy would not be evil. He'd be chaotic neutral.
Well, he does sound like actually chaotic evil. I mean, I still think it's evil to scam people. But,
I think he's okay.
He doesn't.
It feels neutral to. I suppose scamming is evil. So, but yeah, it feels chaotic neutral to me because I'm like, you should be able to prevent yourself from falling for the scam. You know, at your most libertarian, let everybody do whatever they want. That's not actually my position.
Yeah.
But I guess you're right. It's a form of chaotic evil.
But sadly, I think not all, but a lot of the people falling for scams like this actually are at least somewhat conscious of the fact that this isn't a real person and that it's AI generated, or at least that it's not, who it's presented to be. And they kind of just don't even care. Like, they draw this distinction between OnlyFans and FanView. And how does FanView have an advantage? Well, it's because OnlyFans requires AI disclosure, and you have to authenticate your identity before joining. But FanView, on the other hand, has differentiated itself by allowing and kind of boosting AI-generated content. But the people subscribing on FanView, I think a lot of them, maybe even most of them, know that it's not a real person, and they just don't even care. Because how real is the real OnlyFans girl anyway? Probably not that real. They're editing everything. They have a fake name. You
Yeah.
know, maybe they're also using AI on
Not
their
it's
own
not even them
photos.
running the account. It's a dude
Yeah,
running the
yeah.
account. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, they have chatters, they have a management company. Even the real thing isn't real. So
Yeah.
what does it even matter at a certain point?
At that point, they're just an avatar, anyways.
Yeah.
Because of how
Yeah.
many other hands it runs through, for a lack of better terms.
Yeah, and either way, you're not having sex with either of them. So it's like, it almost seems like the better option is the fake one that admits that it's fake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weirdly enough, I mean, that's so dark, but it's kind of true. And I think a lot of them also, again, probably not most, but a lot of them maybe like get a fetishistic thrill out of being scammed. Like that's a sort of fetish for
I
them.
mean, that's.
I mean, that's a thing.
That's-
Like that is a real thing.
That's such a foreign concept to. What the hell?
It's a foreign concept to anyone who's like normal and not sick in the head. But
Yeah.
you can't deny that that's definitely part of the demand for this.
Yeah.
Is like that
Okay.
they want to feel like they're getting duped because that's their fetish, you know?
Okay. Well, this is disturbing.
Anyway,
Let's go to super chats.
just a last word here though. If anyone in the Trump administration is listening, please go subpoena this information from Wired. Find out who this man is, and please do not let him enter the country.
Okay.
We need less Indian scammers. Not more.
Let's go to super chats.
Okay. Were there any 20s?
I believe we're caught up on
Someone check that
20s.
I don't miss them. Okay. Burned Oils said, because of how negative you were about Sydney in a sus... There's like no spaces, guys.
Had
There's
to
no
fit all the
spaces.
characters.
About Sydney in a sus manner, it made me look into her, and now I quite enjoy her. Before I was indifferent about her. You prom had that impact on many people. Thanks you for that. Okay. You're welcome, I guess. Shane H. Wilder said, you having a stroke, Burned Oils.
I mean, maybe it was just like to hit the character limit.
That was difficult to get through. Okay. The rest of these, I think Marcos said, I may disagree with Mary's post or may not understand it, but screw the haters. They're coming off as cancel culture leftists. I mean, cancel culture was always an expression of something that human beings have engaged in for all of human history. Like, it was exclusive to leftists for a time, but that was never going to last forever. It's just going to evolve more and more. I'm not trying to say that everyone who disagrees with me is like trying to cancel me, but I did see some replies that were like, don't think you can ever get off the hook for this one. And it's like, it is just a tweet, right? Like,
I mean,
it's
look,
not actually like that serious.
I mean,
Like, I didn't run
there's
someone over with my car.
there's there's gradients there to a lot of people, which is that, you know, when you have the ability to speak to a large amount of people, I mean, everybody has that ability because anybody can have a tweet that goes viral, like that, you know, depending on the person that's reading it, they're looking at it from a very different perspective than somebody else. And also in this space, when you're online, as much as we tend to be, things seem more disposable because it's just like in the mind of the person saying it, it's just a take. It's my job to have takes, right? That's what people are saying. But to other people, it's not a take; it's a claim, and they look at it differently than somebody who kind of is part of the attention economy. If that makes sense.
Yeah, they kind of view it as like, I'm planting my flag here. Like this is everything to me, and it's like it didn't matter to me that much when I posted it, and. Like they're saying like you're not gonna get away with it, but I don't feel like I'm getting away with anything or not getting away with anything. It's just like this isn't real to me. This isn't my life.
I mean, okay, so the critique of it is just like it's hard to like replace that tweet with any tweet, and then it's like most people follow people online because they enjoy their opinions on things, right? But if it's not real, then they're going to be like, then why follow? right? Like, and this is not a problem just about you, but of like everybody online. When you have to have a take on everything, then it's like having a take on nothing, because then people are just gonna, it's like, if I'm not, it's like that meme, like everything I say is a joke unless you agree with me. That's like the natural endpoint, it feels like, for the internet. And our words have been divorced from meaning. And we are, you know, it matters. Like, for us, the words matter.
It definitely wasn't a joke.
Yeah.
If anyone thought that I meant that, it's not a joke. I meant it, but it's also like, to me, I wasn't like staking my entire career. Like I'm not like dying on this hill. Like, you can still play the game. No one's stopping you. Robert Delera said, a cure from all the modern day movie slop is watching some classic movies from the 20th century. Watching some 80s and 90s Schwarzenegger does it for me.
Yeah, I mean, anything from the 90s, anything shot on film in general is good for me. Like just seeing...
You prefer the look? Or
it's not even necessarily preferred, because there's still plenty of movies that are shot these days that look gorgeous. But in general, there's something about it that I find really, really appealing when I go back and watch old movies. Also, movies that use miniatures rather than CGI.
For me, it's like 2000s comedies. I just rewatched Cheaper by the Dozen, which was, of course, shot on digital. But it looks incredible. Like, the whole thing is so warm and lively, and the people in the movie like look like they're alive and not dead, and it's... Why can't everything look like this? It's clearly not because they're using digital cameras.
I was looking at well, look, the best shot 35 millimeter film is always going to look better than digital cinematography. But like, I was watching these videos about like praising the cinematography of like old Disney movies. Like, they were talking about the sweeping shots of the movie Brink when they take a sandwich and move it from like lunch table to lunch table. They're like, this movie did not need to go this hard, but they did back then.
Yeah, because they just cared. So true. Okay, I'm not gonna read that next one. Just don't really know what that is. Antonio Lucero said, ordered some of Mary's medium roast coffee. Def looking forward to that upcoming delivery. Thank you very much. Corey Anderson said, Mary... Oh, by the way, I should take that opportunity to shill.
Yes, go ahead.
Castbrew.com, guys. You can find Mary's Ghost Blend. That is my s'mores flavored coffee. There, it has my demonic face on it. That's the one. It smells incredible and it tastes like s'mores. Corey Anderson said, Mary looks really pretty today. And then he's also said, Brett looks really pretty today.
Well, thank you. I saw somebody said my hair looks weird, but not bad enough to need a hat, which I appreciated.
I never think that. I never think that your hair looks bad when you say it looks bad.
I appreciated the gradient of like, look, it looks bad, but not so bad that you need to put a hat on, which I appreciate.
Corey Anderson said, Mary needs to go on Call Me Daddy. Everyone always calls it that.
Olivia did on the show once, and I was like, that's not the name. But I was like, I wasn't sure if I should,
I don't know.
I wasn't sure if I should, like, correct it or not. But I was like, that's not the name.
I don't know what the importance of the name is, other than, like, it just sounds provocative.
Yeah.
Robert Delera said, Alex Cooper, in a way, is trying to be the new female Howard Stern. Stern started asking his guests about their sex lives 30 years ago. And they were all too happy to share. But she doesn't... The difference is Howard Stern did kind of mock his guests. Like, it was sort of an adversarial relationship between him and his guests most of the time. At least,
well, this is just a covert... This is a covert version of this, where she's like, yeah. This is I guess more of like a woman's approach to that type of thing. Yeah. As opposed to Howard Stern's, which might be a more outwardly combative one, where like the encouraging tone of Alex Cooper is to try and get the most out of the guest.
Pop Culture Junkie said, Brett, agree with your circus animals label.
Celebrities in general, it feels that way sometimes.
That's an insult to circus animals. Corey Anderson said, Brett, did you see my recent submission for Cute of the Day?
I will double check and make sure that it gets featured on these. Was that from Corey?
Yes.
I will double check and make sure, my friend.
All right. Shane H. Wilder said the cringe yesterday was so bad that it overrided today's cringe. Congrats, Olivia. Not many could pull that off.
It was rough.
Yeah, I feel like maybe yesterday's cringe is enough cringe to cover 2 episodes.
I actually felt, honestly, like the one she did before with the guy who had the hot dogs and the candy bars like taped to his head was way worse, but that's just me.
It's a skill. People should appreciate it.
Corey, I do have it saved for tomorrow. Just pulled it up.
Robert Delara said, Mary, don't torture yourself by going to see The Devil Wears Prada. Instead, go to Taco Bell and treat yourself to a triple double Crunchwrap. You know, I might do both. I might sneak the triple double Crunchwrap into the movie theater. Is that loud? You know, it's usually never crunchy,
it
right?
won't be as loud as whenever you would get food from H Mart and then like it was literally the loudest container known to man, literally echoing off the walls of the theater.
Everyone knows that 90% of Crunchwraps are not crunchy whatsoever.
No.
It's just mush, which is fine. Corey Anderson said Sydney Sweeney has her underwear brand, Mary.
Yeah, but that wasn't a thing when they probably pitched her for that movie. Siren like just came out. Sorry, CERN just came out.
CERN.
They just
CERN.
she had just flipped on the switch at the Large Hadron Collider when.
Yeah, I mean, look, I also wouldn't consider a lingerie brand to be fashion per se. Yeah, it's also like not, I don't know, whatever. It's like that's underwear. Pat the Plumber said, don't lie, Mary. If Taco Bell wanted to sponsor your wedding, you'd be pumped.
I think they do cater weddings.
Well, look, the problem these days is like most weddings just are the reception. Like it isn't really seen as like a sacramental marriage. If Taco Bell logos can be kept far away from the church in which I get married, maybe then I would find it somewhat acceptable. But that would be tough. That would be a tough call.
What if you could get the Pope to bless the Taco Bell? Is that like a possibility? Could he do that?
I mean, I suppose he could. Yeah.
I'm down.
I could buy a Crunchwrap and fly it over to Italy, and it would probably still be good.
There you go. All of the additives
Yeah.
and stuff in there, absolutely.
Kyle Dixon said, Brett and Olivia Dasovic's wedding brought to you by Cast Brew Coffee.
Yep.
Robert Delara said, the only influencer wedding that I want to see is Clavicular and Whoa Vicky. It won't happen, but it would be an interesting wedding.
Do it.
You know, it might happen, though, because he'll do anything for content. Like, maybe he will get married for content.
He can make her a semi-honest woman, and she can make him she can settle down and turn him into an honest man.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll see. I hope for the best. Pop Culture Junkie. Wait, no, I already read that one. Phil B said, I disavow anyone that tries to hide their private lives.
What?
Why? I mean, I guess if they're trying to hide like bad shit that they're doing, that's bad. But I don't know. I think people should actually keep things private that are private. Shane H. Wilder said, we were like, why is she wearing a fur coat in summer for a live interview? A lot of reporters are trying to double as influencers now. Blech.
Yep.
I guess that does make sense because, you know, it's a way to gain like longevity and have something that belongs to you. But that specific example is detestable. Boston said $2 for robot ghosts. Holy Mary, I can forgive Tuesday's L.
With a rose emoji.
I'm just not even going to say anything to that. Corey Anderson said H1B visa to India need to be ended. I would agree with that. Shane H. Wilder said, here's one more. had an anchor quit to become an IG underwear model. We were horrified because she also puts her toddler daughter in her shoots. That's like, I don't even know which one is worse.
We need to put an end to this.
Which one is worse? The brand deal with the
second
interview with the grieving mom, or the brand, or the underwear modeling with the toddler in the photos?
The toddler in the photos.
Yeah, that takes the cake.
Yeah.
That's actually like disgusting. Yikes, man.
Like the other one can just be attributed to like pure, unadulterated, like what would the term for it be? Pure unadulterated like ambition.
Vanity?
Ambition and vanity that overrides your better judgment. The other one is so calculating. It's no.
Yeah. Takes way too much forethought to excuse it.
Yep.
The Manic Mustache said, late as usual, apropos to sponsored family gatherings, going to take my daughter to Devil Wears Prada 2 next Thursday. Luckily, Mustache got us snacks sponsored. That's why we only smuggle our within the Snack Buddy. Stay toxic, my friends.
Is that a thing? I don't know what that is.
Snack Buddy. Is that some sort of snack transportation device? I'm lost. Shane H. Wilder said, cheaper by the dozen. Both the 1950 original with Clifton Webb and the 2003 with Steve Martin were shot on film. The 2022 remake was digital. Wow.
I think back
that's
to like
incredible. I just figured most things in the 2000s were then, majority shot on digital.
once you got into like 2007 and 2008. So I was thinking about it. I was like, I'm kind of homesick for a time where it's like, if I was to be like one of the, I think they brought back CSI Las Vegas or something like that. But if they were like bring back CSI Miami, I would be like, go and get the cameras that they were using at the time that it was made. Don't upgrade. Use exactly the same tech they were using at that time, and it probably wouldn't work because of like technology. Eventually, whether it's like they wouldn't be able to use it cross-platform or something like that, or it would be too slow. I would love to see that, right? Like to see them actually recreate something from another time period using the tech from that time, not just stuff on set that's supposed to be reminiscent of a different time.
Would it be more expensive?
Yes. Yeah.
Would it be more time consuming?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That would be the reason they wouldn't do it. Time consuming.
Yeah, they're just not going to do anything that costs more money or more time, even if it would pay off in the long run, unfortunately.
There's one more.
Pop Culture Junkie said, well, it looks like Scooter Braun was knee deep in the whole Blake Lively scandal cesspool. I'm hearing a pile of serious dirt may surface in the next couple of days. Great time to be a lawyer in LA.
I saw that, but we were going to cover it, but then we're just like, I don't know if like, it's not like Scooter Braun stories have ever been like big for us. Like they
haven't been a buoy for the channel, but
and the Blake Lively stuff, like there's channels that do great consistently covering that stuff where that's their shtick, that's their thing.
Well, it's like if they're able to make it on their channel an anthology series.
Yeah.
But like we don't really get that deep into one specific thing.
No.
At least not for more than a couple of weeks.
We got a Rumble rant here from Jthrock. Says, call her daddy for women is equal to porn for men. Addictive and destructive.
I have heard people say that gossip is the what would it be? Equivalent or like counterparts to porn for women. But,
lights up like the same part of the brain or something.
But also like gossip is gossip and porn is porn, and they're both bad in their own unique ways, and plenty of women watch porn, plenty of men gossip. So it's like not really worth comparing notes here.
Yep. Yeah, see, Eric in the chat says the red 4K cameras were expensive, plus you had to get the add-ons just to use it. Yeah, it would be, I would love to see somebody undertake the project of like going and like sourcing all of the old equipment. Because I'll do that sometimes. Like I'll be watching like an episode of a show, and I'll be like, can you give me the technical info on the cameras used, who the cinematographer was, so that I can like read more about it, and it eventually just ends up being like a huge rabbit hole that I will go down. But I was looking through of some old episodes recently of like the different CSIs, and the amount of like digital noise in some of the shots, which shows that they were like bumping up the color grading and the lighting specific, you know, it was filling in these gaps in the frame and the image. I love it. And it's like, I didn't notice it back then because I just didn't have a TV that could actually catch all the information. Now I kind of look at it very fondly, the same way I look back at old episodes of TV shows when they were still using the yellow light bulbs, when light bulbs were still golden. Right now we have all of this empty white lighting that's just perverse to me. Yeah. And you can find it. Like, they got rid of the, what was it? Like, they say Drive was like the last major motion picture that was filmed when the street kid. That's not the incandescent, right? So that's the, what are the yellow lights? So those aren't the fluorescents. They're the,
I believe they are candescent.
Yes. Okay. So those are the ones where they're like, if you watch TV shows going up through like 2012 or 2013 in New York, you'll still see them, especially for shots in back alleys or off the sides of main streets. Now, if you get into like Times Square early on those days, that was already switching out. But a lot of the stuff in different areas of town that were more run down absolutely still had that yellow lighting. So you get this yellow, this warm glow, and the in the greens. I love that stuff, and I'm never gonna be able to see it again because they don't ever use green anymore. It's all orange and blue as complementary colors rather than green. Makes me sad.
So how big is your TV now?
Not that, like, it's like I think we have a 55-inch TV. Every time we're at Walmart, I'm like, that 96, that TV's like nothing. It's expensive, but think of the fun. Like, we don't need it.
I'm not a cinephile like you, so my TV is like 30 inches.
Yeah, like the one we have
Maybe
is more than enough.
Mine is like maybe even less, actually, than
like
30 inches. I don't even know. I don't remember.
Like, I think about it, I'm like, do I really need like a 96-inch television to watch Hallmark movies and stuff on Up, Faith, and Family? No, I do not.
No,
I don't need it.
but they are beautiful.
All right. Before we go, did we get that last one? I want to make sure. I saw one more there from Shane H. Wilder. He says, Steve Martin did good remakes. Father of the Bride 1 and 2 were both remakes of Spencer Tracy movies, Father of the Bride and Father's Little Dividend. Okay.
I'll have to add those to my watch list because Steve Martin is an icon.
Ethan in the chat says, street lights were sodium vapor lamps. That's awesome. Love to see it. All right, before we go, hit the like button on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you've not subscribed here yet already, please and thank you. Remember to share the episode out with everybody so that everybody can talk about the segments. Thank you so much. Mary, where can they find you?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram. That is Mary Archived. Or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. If you guys want to follow me, I am on Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC is live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is a great way to help the channel out. If you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix, at popculture_show, Facebook at popculturecrisis, Instagram at popculturecrisisPod. Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We will see you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.